Well, we're at Tyndall Motorsports here in Belmont, North Carolina. They were kind enough to let us use their facility to give you a quick little technical demonstration on the Spec Racer Ford plumbing. And as you can see by the Tyndall shop, they do everything from vintage to World Challenge to Ferrari and even Baja these days. So if you want to start, need a little help, then this is the place to start. We're going to show you some applications today on the Spec Racer Ford that we've done. It's been a little bit over a year, but we have the whole car plumbed and all the applications that are allowed. Actually, all these are legal for the class. So we'll go through each one slowly and show you the goodies. The first application we're going to show you on the Spec Racer Ford is the brake caliper assembly. What we have here is an SPH03. And then we also have an adapter that's specifically designed to help us with the mounting situation. So what we have here is a coupling that you can press together, and once disconnected or connected, there's no air induction or fluid loss. It's very critical on a brake assembly. So what you do, basically you take your male connector here from your hard line out and put in the female. Same clip. Simply clips right in there. The SPH03 will simply just screw right into that. And then if you're prepared, you happen to knock off a corner, you have a pre-plumbed assembly all ready to go. It's already been bled. Basically just push it in, turn it, disconnect, take the caliper assembly off, drop your other one on, push it back in, and connects. There you go. Simple as that. Alright, our second application is on the radiator actually. What we use for this is a RMI-EA coupling. And what this coupling is, it's a little bit different than some of the others. It has an open cavity, alright, but it's still a 1,000,000 cycle piece. Alright, quick disconnect. When you separate it, you'll have a little bit of fluid in the cavity, but still there's no air induction or fluid loss after it drips out from the cavity. And what we've done with the Spec Racer radiator takes a little bit of thinking, but what you have to do is you cut the cooling tube back in the middle section and you weld a male bung onto that, an aluminum bung. Alright? Then on the radiator side you have to weld a steel bung. We basically cut the brass rubber hose connection off, weld the bung so you have AN fittings on each side of the connection. Much stronger connection. And then you simply run the line, and we decided to put the RMI here inside of the triangle for a little bit of protection. But all you have to do is just disconnect this, and then you can take your whole front assembly off and put another one in. And the hose that we're using on all of these, in the radiator, oil, and fuel, is the ProLite hose from Earl's. They were kind enough to donate the hoses for us for this project. The hose is a very lightweight, smooth bore, increases the flow, and excellent flexibility. Excellent hose. Alright, our third application is for the fuel on the Spec Racer Ford. And for fuel we use a SPT08, which is a flush face coupling, which is very important for fuel because on a flush face design there's absolutely no fluid loss or air induction, and there's no fluid in the cavity. That's really important because when you separate, we don't want any fluid leaking. Okay? And what we've done with the Spec Racer, and is actually a very good advantage, is if both lines are plumbed here, return and pressure. And if you need to lighten up your fuel load or simply just drain your tank, you disconnect your pressure line, have another hose ready to go with your other end of the coupling, snap it together, and you're ready to go. Basically you just want to jump your fuel relay, and it's a very nice, clean, safe way to drain fuel. You're no longer taking it off at the rail and damaging the spring, which happens constantly. and then just disconnect it, plug it back in, and that's your fuel assembly. Another application that we have for fuel is on the vent valve when you're filling the car. This is simply a rollover valve with a check ball in it. All right? This system, as many of you know, normally you have to push a zip tie down to open the valve and to fill the car. Especially when it's hot, it can be extremely difficult, or you get a lot of back pressure and you actually get fuel spilling over or shooting out the vent line. What this does, it just mounts in the same position the other one does, this is dash 6, and the cell vents when it needs to vent. So the ball's bouncing up and down, and simply when you need to put fuel in, even when it's hot, you just dump it right in there and you have no issues. We do cover this with foam. Actually, you can get some fuel resistant foam and cover it. That way you don't get any debris in there while you're running. And that is the other fuel application. All right, the final application that we're going to talk about in the Spec Racer 4 is for the oil couplings. And you have two options for oil. All right, you have the SPT product that we use on the fuel, which is a flush face. All right, or you have the RMI, which is the same coupling that we had on the radiator. It's just a little smaller version that we use for oil. This is perfect for oil. It still has a cavity, so you'll have a little fluid loss when you disconnect, but there's no air induction, all right, or fluid loss after the cavity drains. And this is a much more economical solution for your oil, as these two pieces are retail about $70 compared to the SPT-08, which is around $220. And here on the Spec Racer, where we did it, right down here, we don't have the 60-pin connector on here, so we got plenty of room actually, and we just simply mounted it right up underneath the frame rail. Feed and return. And that's the last application that we have for the Spec Racer. Well, one thing that we want to mention with all of our couplings, and they're all couplings out there, quick disconnects or dry brakes are not created equal. So all of ours go through a rigorous testing. They're million cycle pieces, all right? And they also have all of the seals marked, etched on them, as well as the date codes. Everything is warranted for 1 year. And if you look at the coupling, you can see JE, JV, or JKV. All right, JKV is designed for fuel. JE is for your brake and clutch fluid. Also for water.